Stay exactly where you are. Do not pick up that phone. Do not send that text to check in. And do not dare apologize for a conflict you didn't start. I know you were sitting there in the silence, looking at a phone that isn't ringing, wondering if you pushed it too far this time. You are looking at the empty space where people used to be, children you raised, partners you supported, friends you bailed out of trouble, and you are wondering if you have been disqualified or discarded. I am speaking to you today with a direct order. Hold the line. You are not being punished with isolation. You are being positioned for authority. I know the weariness you feel. It is not just physical tired. It is soul tired. You have spent decades being the pillar everyone else leaned on. You were the fixer, the provider, the protector, and the steady hand when their worlds were spinning out of control. You carried burdens that were never yours to carry. And how did they repay you? With disrespect, with betrayal, with silence. When you finally set a boundary, when you finally said enough, they walked away. Now the enemy wants you to believe that this silence is a sign of your failure. They want you to believe that you are lonely because you are unlovable or too difficult. That is a lie. Here is the truth you need to hear right now. The silence isn't a graveyard, it is a fortress. The reason it is so quiet around you is not because they have won. It is because they have run out of ammunition. They threw everything they had at your character, your reputation, and your sanity, but you are still standing. Do not break formation. Do not lower your standard to get them back. You are in a standoff, and what you don't see yet is that the other side is crumbling without your resources, your wisdom, and your covering. They are not thriving. They are realizing they walked away from their only source of stability. They are not making their way to a better life. They are making their way to surrender. Stand your ground, General. The war is shifting in your favor. General, hold your position for 1 second. You didn't find this briefing by accident, and deep down, you know it. If you are tired of fighting in the dark, do not leave this channel without securing your connection. Subscribe right now. You know how the enemy operates. He waits until you are isolated to attack. Don't miss the next set of orders that could save your peace. Lock it in. The siege. Why you are under attack. Let's get the situation clear. You are not dealing with a simple misunderstanding. You are not dealing with people who just drifted apart. You are under a coordinated spiritual siege. At this stage of your life, the battles don't look like they did when you were 30. Back then, it was loud arguments, drama, and noise. But now, in your 50s and 60s, the attack is silent. It is calculated. It is a withdrawal of affection, a withdrawal of support, and a withdrawal of loyalty from the very people who should be standing beside you. You have been asking yourself why this is happening now. You have worked 40 years to build a life, a reputation, and a legacy. You paid your dues. You put food on the table, you kept the lights on, and you bailed them out of situations they created. So why, when you should be enjoying the fruit of your labor, are you sitting in a house that feels like a cold war zone? Why does it feel like you are the enemy in your own territory? Here is the reality check. You are not under attack because you are weak. You are under attack because you finally established a perimeter. For years, you allowed people to cross your borders without a passport. You let them disrespect you, use your resources, and drain your energy because you wanted to keep the peace. You thought if you just gave a little more, if you were just a little more patient, they would eventually respect you. But you learned the hard way that you cannot buy loyalty with generosity. The shift happened the moment you decided to raise your standards. You looked around and realized that you were the only one acting like an adult in the room. You stopped laughing at jokes that weren't funny. You stopped funding reckless behavior. You stopped apologizing for having rules in your own kingdom. And the moment you did that, the rebellion started. They didn't leave because you became difficult. They left because your integrity became a mirror that showed them their own lack of discipline. When a man stands his ground and refuses to compromise his values, it irritates people who have no values. Your stability exposes their chaos. Your discipline exposes their laziness. They walked away because they couldn't manipulate you anymore. This feels like rejection, but you must reframe your thinking. This is not rejection. This is the cleaning of the barracks. If you were running a military unit and you had soldiers who wouldn't follow orders, who stole from the supply line, and who slept while on watch, you wouldn't beg them to stay, you would discharge them. That is exactly what the universe has done for you. You have been praying for peace. You have been asking God to remove the stress from your life, and when He answered your prayer by removing the people causing the stress, you panicked. You looked at the empty chairs and felt abandoned, but those empty chairs are not a tragedy. They are a tactical advantage. The trash took itself out. You have to understand the dynamic of the king and the rebel. You are operating in the archetype of the king now. The king provides protection, vision, and order. The rebel wants the king's protection, but they hate the king's order. They want your money, your wisdom, and the safety of the world you built. But they do not want to honor the code you live by. Rebels always leave the kingdom thinking they can build something better on their own. They think your rules were the problem. They convince themselves that out there in the freedom of the world, they will finally thrive without your control. Let them go. This is a necessary separation. You cannot build a legacy with people who are actively drilling holes in the bottom of your boat. The siege is meant to starve you out. They think that by withdrawing their presence, you will crumble from loneliness and beg them to come back on their terms. They are waiting for you to wave the white flag. They expect the old you, the one who was desperate to be liked, to chase after them. But they have miscalculated. They don't realize that you don't need their validation to survive. You have been the source of survival for them, not the other way around. So, look at this isolation for what it really is. It is not a prison. It is a security protocol. Your perimeter is finally secure. The leaks have been plugged. The spies have been removed. You are not losing friends or family. You are shedding dead weight. You are lighter now than you have been in 20 years. Stand tall in that empty room. It is not empty, it is clean. And a clean room is the only place where a real strategy can be built. If you accept that this cleaning of your barracks was actually divine protection, type 777 in the comments to lock the gate behind them. Tactical isolation. The war room phase. Now that you understand you are under siege, we need to talk about your current position. You are sitting alone. The phone is quiet. The house is still. Most people call this loneliness, and they panic. They scramble to fill the silence with noise, with busy work, or with people who don't matter. But you are not most people. You are a man of authority, and you need to understand that this is not loneliness. This is commanding solitude. Think of a general during a war. When the battle is chaotic, he doesn't stand on the front lines screaming and swinging a sword. He retreats to the war room. He shuts the door. He blocks out the noise so he can look at the map and think clearly. That is exactly where you are right now. The universe has locked you in the war room because there are 3 critical things that must happen before you can move forward. First, you are going through a mandatory detox from being the ATM. For decades, your identity has been tied to what you can provide. You were the financial backup plan for everyone around you. You were the emotional sponge for their drama. If the car broke down, they called you. If they were short on rent, they called you. If they made a mess of their lives, they brought it to your doorstep for you to clean up. You didn't mind because you are a provider by nature. It made you feel useful. But somewhere along the line, you stopped being a father, a husband, or a friend, and you just became a utility. They stopped seeing the man and only saw the function. Now that they are gone, you feel empty because that job has been taken away. But look closer. Your bank account is stabilizing. Your blood pressure is dropping. You are sleeping better. This isolation is breaking your addiction to buying love with your labor. The bank is closed, and for the first time in years, your resources are actually staying with you. Second, this time is sharpening your discernment. When you are constantly surrounded by needy people, your instincts get dull. You spent so many years compromising your gut feelings just to keep the peace. You ignored the red flags because you didn't want the argument. You let things slide that you should have crushed. You tolerated disrespect because you were trying to be the bigger man. But in the silence of the war room, the fog is lifting. You are replaying conversations from 5 years ago and finally seeing the manipulation you missed. You are realizing the people you trusted were actually working against you. This clarity is painful, but it is necessary. You are getting your sight back. You are learning to trust that internal alarm system again. The next time someone tries to cross your boundary, you won't compromise. You will see them coming from a mile away. Third, and this is the most important shift for a man your age, you are moving from the warrior phase to the king phase. From your 20s to your 50s, you are a warrior. You proved your worth by fighting. You hustled, you grinded, and you forced doors open. You fought for your career, fought for your family, and fought to survive. But a king does not fight in the trenches. A king sits on the throne and makes decisions. A warrior chases, a king attracts. A warrior uses force, a king uses authority. You are being seated. The reason you feel like you can't do anything right now is because you aren't supposed to be running around anymore. Your days of chasing people down are over. Your days of trying to convince people of your worth are over. This brings us to your new tactical order. Radio silence. I know the temptation. You want to pick up the phone. You want to send a text just to see how they are doing. You want to explain yourself one last time. Do not do it. Radio silence is not a game. It is a military tactic. When an enemy is trying to locate you, you go dark. By reaching out, you are giving them your coordinates. You are telling them, I am still here, I am still waiting for you, and I am still desperate for your approval. Stop it. Let them feel the weight of your absence. Let them wake up in a world where you don't exist to solve their problems. They need to feel the cold draft that comes when the wall they were leaning on is suddenly removed. If you break the silence, you reset the clock. You show them that you are still the same old ATM waiting to dispense attention. Stay in the war room. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. You are not hiding. You are preparing. And while you are getting stronger in here, they are out there realizing just how cold it gets without you. Listen to me closely. I know you are used to sitting in that chair alone, analyzing every battle in silence. You've been the lone wolf for decades. But a general without an army is just a target. If this message is reading your mind, hit that subscribe button. Stop trying to win this war by yourself when there is a battalion of chosen men right here waiting to stand with you. It is time to join the ranks. The collapse of the deserters. While you are sitting in the war room getting stronger, let's look at what is happening outside the gates. You are holding your position, staying silent, and resisting the urge to reach out. But your mind is playing tricks on you. You look at their social media, or you hear rumors through the grapevine, and it looks like they are having the time of their lives. It looks like they are thriving without you. They are smiling in photos, they are going to parties, and they seem completely unbothered by your absence. Do not be fooled by the propaganda. In warfare, the losing side always shouts the loudest to hide the fact that they are out of ammo. What you are seeing is a highlight reel designed to make you jealous. But I am here to give you the intelligence report on what is actually happening behind closed doors. The deserters, the ones who walked away from your covering, your loyalty, and your protection, are currently experiencing a total structural collapse. They left you because they said you were too controlling. They said you were too serious, too strict, or too much. They wanted freedom. They wanted to run wild without having to answer to your standards. Well, they got their freedom, and now they are finding out that freedom without discipline is just chaos. When they were under your wing, they didn't feel the storm. You took the wind. You took the rain. You absorbed the hits so they could live in peace. They didn't realize that your strictness was actually the roof over their heads. Now that they have stepped out from under your covering, they are getting soaked. They are currently surrounded by people who do not care about them. When they were with you, they had a man who would tell them the hard truth because he loved them. Now, they are surrounded by yes men and opportunists who are only around for the good times. These new friends are eating their food, drinking their wine, and encouraging their bad decisions. And the moment the bill comes due, those new friends will vanish just like smoke. The people who left you are starting to panic. They are realizing that the excitement they chased is actually exhausting. They are waking up with hangovers, emotional and physical, realizing that no one in their new circle has their back. They are facing emergencies, and for the first time, they don't have your number to call. They reach for their phone, and then they remember, I burned that bridge. That realization is a heavy weight. They are currently starving for the stability you provided so effortlessly. They took your consistency for granted. They thought it was boring. Now, living in a world of unpredictability, they are desperate for boring. They are desperate for a quiet night. They are desperate for someone who keeps their word. They are looking at their life map and realizing they are lost. You were the navigator. You were the one with the compass who knew true north. You had the vision for the family, the business, or the relationship. When they walked away, they thought they knew the way, but without your direction, they are just walking in circles, repeating the same toxic cycles, dating the same broken people, and making the same financial mistakes. Do not feel guilty about this. You did not cause this. You warned them. You told them that the path they were choosing led to a cliff. They called you arrogant. They called you negative. They jumped anyway. Now that they are hitting the rocks, it is not your job to cushion the fall. The collapse is necessary. They need to see the difference between a king and a court jester. They need to taste the fake food of the world so they can appreciate the real meal you put on the table. Right now, they are in the comparison phase. They are comparing every new person they meet to you, and every single one of them is coming up short. The new guy isn't as solid as you. The new friends aren't as loyal as you. The new freedom isn't as safe as you. This is why they are angry. If you hear that they are bad-mouthing you, understand it for what it is. It is frustration. They are angry because they can't find a replacement for you. They're trying to fill a general-sized hole with foot soldiers, and it isn't working. So, when you feel the urge to rescue them from their own mess, stop. Stand your ground. If you run out there and fix it now, they will never learn that you are the source of their stability. Let the chaos run its course. Let them feel the cold. Let them realize that the grass wasn't greener on the other side. It was just spray painted. They are not living their best lives. They are watching their illusions crumble while you sit securely on the throne. The collapse is not your fault. It is their lesson. Watch it happen, but do not intervene. Chapter 4. The White Flag. Recognizing the signs of surrender. Now that you are holding the line and they are out there facing the consequences of their desertion, the dynamic is about to shift. You need to be very careful right now. This is the most dangerous phase of the siege. It is the phase where the enemy tries to re-enter your territory, not by force, but by stealth. You might be expecting a grand apology. You might be imagining them knocking on your door, crying, admitting they were wrong, and begging for a second chance. Let me tell you straight, that is not how this starts. Before they wave the white flag of surrender, they will send out a scout. In military strategy, you never march your whole army into a territory until you have tested the defenses. You send a scout to poke the perimeter. You want to see if the guards are asleep. You want to see if the gates are unlocked. This is exactly what is about to happen to you. It starts with the ping. You will get a text out of the blue. It won't be a long apology. It will be something small, harmless, and confusing. Hey, just saw this and thought of you. Hope you're doing well. Or maybe just a reaction to a photo you posted. Do not be flattered. This is not love. This is a perimeter check. They are shaking the fence to see if the alarm still goes off. They are testing the waters to see where your head is at. If you reply immediately, if you respond with emotion, or if you say, "I've missed you too," you have just failed the test. You just gave them the intelligence they needed. You told them, "I am still sitting here waiting for you. My borders are open. You can come back in and disrespect me again whenever you want." You must learn to distinguish between a scout and a surrender. A scout is looking for access. They want to know if they can come back to the comfort of your kingdom without changing their behavior. They want the benefits of your presence, your money, your stability, your ear without paying the cost of admission. They are trying to see if you have softened. They are hoping your loneliness has made you desperate enough to lower your standards. Surrender looks completely different. Surrender does not test the fence. Surrender walks up to the front gate in broad daylight with hands up. Surrender speaks a specific language. It doesn't say, "Hey, what's up?" It says, "I was wrong. I disrespected you. I realize now that I cannot live without the order you provide. What do I need to do to make this right?" Do you see the difference? One is casual. The other is serious. One is about their convenience. The other is about your authority. Most men at your stage of life get this wrong. You are tired of fighting. So when you get that random text, you take the bait. You open the door for the scout, thinking it's a peace offering, but it is a Trojan horse. You let them back in because you miss the companionship, but within a week, the same chaos returns. The same disrespect returns. Why? Because you didn't demand a surrender. You accepted a check-in. You have to be stone cold during this phase. When the text comes, and it will come due, not jump. Read it, put the phone down, and go back to what you were doing. If it does not contain an admission of fault and a request for a meeting on your terms, it is noise. They are banking on your history. They think, "He's a nice guy. He always forgives. He always picks up." Surprise them. Be the man who doesn't pick up. Be the man who reads the message and stays silent. This silence drives them crazy. It forces them to escalate. When the soft approach doesn't work, they have to make a choice. They either walk away for good, which protects you, or they are forced to come correct. They are forced to show their hand. They are making their way to surrender. But they will only surrender if they realize they cannot manipulate you anymore. If you engage with the scout, you delay the victory. You reset the clock. So, watch for the signs, the random calls, the likes, the accidental run-ins at places they know you go. These are desperate attempts to get your attention without submitting to your authority. Ignore them. Stand your ground. You are not looking for a pen pal. You are looking for respect. Until they are ready to offer that, the gate remains locked. Let them stand outside until they are ready to drop their weapons and follow the rules of the house. You are the general here. Act like it. Chapter 5. Protecting the supply lines. The energy detox. In every major conflict, the side with the strongest supply line wins the war. You can have the best weapons and the most soldiers. But if you run out of food, fuel, or ammunition, the army collapses. I need you to look in the mirror right now and realize something critical. You are the supply line. For your entire life, you have been the logistics manager for everyone else's survival. You provided the money, the wisdom, the connections, and the emotional stability. You were the generator that kept the lights on in everyone else's house. But here is the problem. You have been running your supply lines with zero security. You left the warehouse doors wide open, and you let people loot your energy whenever they felt like it. We need to address a hard truth that many men your age struggle with. It is the nice guy syndrome. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that the only way to be loved was to be useful. You believed that if you paid for the dinner, fixed the car, and listened to the complaints, people would finally appreciate you. You thought you were being generous, but actually, you were paying a tax. You were paying people to tolerate you. That stops today. You are currently in an energy detox. This means you are shutting down the free distribution of your assets. And I don't just mean your money, though that is part of it. I mean your peace. your attention, your problem-solving skills. These are high-value assets. Do you know how rare it is to find a man with decades of experience, emotional stability, and resources? You are a walking gold mine, yet you have been handing out gold nuggets to people who treat them like rocks. You must stop leaking your power to people who do not respect the source. When you give access to people who are ungrateful, you are not helping them. You are enabling their weakness and draining your own strength. You are pouring your premium fuel into engines that are broken. This is why you feel tired. You aren't tired because you are getting old. You are tired because you are being drained. You have parasites attached to your hull, and they are dragging you down. The shift you need to make right now is moving from being needed to being respected. Being needed is a trap. If people only come around because they need something, they don't love you. They love your utility. They love that you are the emergency contact. They love that you are the safety net. But the moment you stop providing, they disappear. That is not a relationship. That is a transaction. Being respected is different. Respect means they value the man, not just the wallet. Respect means they value your time, not just your favors. So, how do you protect the supply line? You establish protocol. If someone wants to see a high-ranking general, they don't just walk into his office and put their feet on the desk. They have to go through security. They have to make an appointment. They have to have a reason. You need to start treating your life with that same level of clearance. If they want your advice, they need to approach you with humility, not entitlement. If they want your help, they need to have shown loyalty first. If they want your time, they need to be adding value to your life, not just extracting it. This is going to feel uncomfortable at first because you are used to saying yes. You are used to being the hero, but you have to let that hero complex die. A hero sacrifices himself for the village. A king rules the village so that everyone prospers. Be the king. Close the valves. Stop volunteering to fix problems that you didn't create. Stop offering financial help before they even ask. Stop listening to 3-hour venting sessions from people who never ask how you are doing. Watch what happens when you cut the supply. Some people will get angry. They will accuse you of changing. They will say you are being selfish. Let them. Their anger is just the sound of a consumer realizing the free store is closed. But the ones who are meant to be in your life, the ones who are truly making their way to surrender, will not be angry. They will realize that they lost something valuable. They will realize that your energy was a privilege, not a right. And when they finally come back, they will come back with respect for the supply line. They will understand that if they want the benefit of your wisdom, they have to honor the man who carries it. Secure your assets, General. The free ride is over. Halt. I need you to be honest with yourself. If you haven't subscribed yet, you need to ask, are you truly ready for victory, or are you comfortable in the struggle? The Almighty guided you to this specific frequency to save your sanity. Do not dishonor that guidance by walking away empty-handed. Subscribe now. Keep your spiritual supply line open, or risk facing the next storm without a compass. Do not leave your gate unguarded. The protocol of re-entry. We have reached the point in the timeline that everything has been leading up to. You held the line during the siege. You ignored the weak attempts to test your fence. Now, the real moment is approaching. They are coming back, and this time they are serious. But this is exactly where most men lose the war. They win the battle of silence, but they lose the battle of re-entry because they don't have a protocol. When they finally show up, whether it is a phone call, a visit, or a request to talk, your old instinct will kick in. You will feel a rush of relief. You will want to run to the gate, throw it open, and say, "I'm just glad you're back." Do not do that. If you run to the gate the moment they knock, you hand all your power right back to them. You tell them that your silence was just a bluff. You tell them that you were just waiting for them to validate you. A king does not run to open the door. A general does not run to the perimeter to greet a returning soldier. He sits in his chair, he finishes what he is doing, and he waits for them to be escorted in. You must let them knock. Let them stand on the porch for a minute. Let them feel the weight of the separation. That few minutes of delay sends a powerful psychological signal. I am fine without you. You are entering my world. I am not desperate for yours. Once you open that door, you must establish the new laws immediately. You cannot go back to the old contract. The old contract is what got you disrespected. The old contract allowed them to treat you like an option. That contract has been burned. When you sit down with them, the conversation cannot be about catching up. It has to be about the rules of engagement moving forward. You don't need to be aggressive. You don't need to yell. You just need to be matter of fact. You need to say things like, I am happy to have you in my life, but things are going to be different now. I am not lending money anymore. I am not participating in family gossip anymore. If you want to be here, you need to respect my peace. Watch their reaction. If they get defensive, if they call you cold, or if they try to make you feel guilty, stop the conversation. That is the ego talking. That means they haven't actually surrendered. They just want access. If they cannot agree to the new laws, the meeting is over. You are not negotiating your self-worth. If they agree, then you move to the next phase, probation. This is a concept you must apply to everyone returning to your life. No one gets full clearance on day one. Just because they apologized doesn't mean they get the keys to the kingdom back instantly. Trust is a currency, and right now, their account is at zero. Probation means you watch their actions, not their words. You give them limited access. Maybe you meet them for coffee, but you don't invite them to your house for the weekend. Maybe you take a call, but you don't commit to a project. You are observing. Are they consistent? Do they respect the new boundaries, or do they slowly try to slide back into their old habits? You keep them on probation until they prove they can handle the weight of your presence. This protects you from getting burned again, the last time you trusted them blindly and it nearly destroyed you. This time, you verify everything. Some people will say you are holding a grudge. They will say you are being unforgiving. That is nonsense. You have forgiven them. That is why you open the door. But forgiveness is about the past. Trust is about the future. You are not punishing them. You are preserving your peace. Your peace is the most expensive thing you own. It cost you years of trauma, loneliness, and hard work to build this stability. You cannot afford to let someone come in and wreck it just because they are bored or broke. If they truly value you, they will accept the probation. They will be willing to do the work to earn their spot back. They will understand that they broke something valuable, and it takes time to fix it. If they are not willing to do the work, if they want instant gratification, then they don't want you. They want a convenience. So, stand firm in this protocol. Do not waive the rules because you feel lonely. Do not lower the standard because you have history. History does not equal loyalty. If they cannot surrender their ego at the door, they cannot enter your territory. The standard is the standard. If you promise to never lower your standards for anyone ever again, type 777 to sign your new contract. The coronation. Your new frequency. You have held the line. You have survived the siege. You have secured your supply lines and established your protocols. Now, you're ready for the final shift. This is not just a change in lifestyle, it is a change in status. You are moving from the frequency of the warrior to the frequency of the king. You are entering your coronation season. For most of your life, you operated on the frequency of hustle. You chased money, you chased women, you chased respect, and you chased stability. You thought that if you stopped moving, everything would fall apart. That was necessary for the building phase of your life. But you are not a builder anymore. You are an owner, and owners do not run. They preside. This new level requires you to stop chasing entirely. In the spiritual realm, there is a law called the law of resonance. It says you do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. When you chase something, you are sending a signal to the universe that you do not have it. You are vibrating with lack. But when you sit down, when you stay put, and when you ground yourself in your own authority, you become a magnet. Think about a massive planet in space. It does not run around trying to catch moons. It simply has mass. It has gravity. It sits there, heavy and undeniable, and because of its sheer weight, everything else falls into orbit around it. You are that planet now. Your character, your experience, and your integrity have given you mass. You don't need to chase people. Your gravity will pull them in. This is the magnetic pull. The people who walked away from you were too light to handle your gravity. They needed to drift away so you could stabilize. But now that you are stationary, now that you are not frantic, you are going to see a different caliber of person enter your orbit. Your silence is now your loudest weapon. Before, you used your voice to explain, to argue, and to justify your existence. Now, you don't say a word. You look people in the eye with a calm that unsettles them. You listen more than you speak. This silence intimidates people who are hiding something, but it comforts people who are looking for leadership. Your presence speaks before you open your mouth. When you walk into a room, the temperature changes not because you are loud, but because you are solid. This is the mandate of the chosen one at this level. You were chosen to lead, not to plead. Read that again. You were chosen to lead, not to plead. A king never begs a peasant to stay in the castle. A general never begs a private to follow him into battle. If you have to beg someone to value you, they are already disqualified. If you have to convince someone to love you, it is not love. It is manipulation. You are done with that. You are done trying to sell yourself to people who can't afford your price. You are done auditing your personality to make insecure people feel comfortable. You are wearing the crown of your own self-respect, and that crown is heavy. It requires you to keep your head up. As you settle into this patriarch frequency, something amazing is going to happen. You are going to stop attracting dependents and start attracting equals. For years, you attracted projects. You attracted people who needed fixing, saving, or funding. That was because you were vibrating at the frequency of the rescuer. But since you have retired from the rescue business, those people have no place to dock their ship. Now, you are preparing the table for the Destiny Squad. These are not people who want to climb on your back. These are men who can stand shoulder to shoulder with you. These are allies who have their own resources, their own wisdom, and their own battle scars. They are not looking for a father. They are looking for a brother. They are looking for a partner. This is the squad you have been waiting for your whole life. You couldn't find them before because you were too busy entertaining the clowns. But now that the circus has left town, the serious players can finally see you. They are recognizing your signal. They see a man who stands his ground. They see a man who doesn't leak energy. They see a man who respects himself. And real recognizes real. So, do not look back at the empty seats and mourn. Those seats are being reserved for high council members. You are being upgraded. The loneliness you felt was just the clearing of the room before the coronation ceremony. The noise is gone. The chaos is gone. All that is left is you, your throne, and the unshakable knowledge that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Sit back. Breathe. Let the gravity do the work. The ones who belong in this new season are already making their way to you. And this time, they aren't coming to take. They are coming to build. The victory formation. Family, listen to me closely as we wrap this up. You have received your orders. You know why the attacks happened. You know why the silence was necessary. And you know exactly what is happening in the camps of those who deserted you. The confusion is over. The guilt is gone. Now all that is left is for you to hold your position until the dust settles. This is your victory formation. For years, you thought victory meant chasing people down and fixing them. You thought victory was keeping everyone happy, even if it meant making yourself miserable. You were wrong. Victory is standing on top of the hill, looking down at the chaos you used to live in and refusing to go back down there. You have climbed too high to step down now. Do not let a moment of loneliness trick you into forfeiting your rank. The enemy is banking on your patience running out. They are betting that if they stay quiet long enough, you will fold. They are betting that the old you, the one who needed to be liked, will eventually pick up the phone and surrender. Prove them wrong. Stay on the hill. Let the silence do the work. You don't need to fire another shot. You don't need to explain yourself one more time. The leverage has completely shifted to your side. You have the supply. You have the stability. You have the peace. They are out in the cold, and it is getting colder by the minute. I promise you, if you stay put, you will see the shift. The white flags are coming. They are realizing that their rebellion was a mistake. They are realizing that life without your covering is harder, darker, and more dangerous than they imagined. They are making their way to surrender right now. They are rehearsing their apologies. They are trying to figure out how to approach a king without getting turned away. Let them do the work. Let them figure it out. You just keep building. Keep working on your health. Keep stacking your resources. Keep enjoying the quiet. When they finally arrive at your gate, let them see a man who is complete all by himself. Let them see a man who didn't fall apart, but who fell into alignment. You have survived the betrayal. You have survived the isolation. You have survived the slander. You are the last man standing. That is not a tragedy. That is a testimony. You are the chosen one, the general, and the patriarch of your own destiny. The war is over, and you won. Now sit back and govern your territory. I want to know who is ready to hold the line. I want to know who is done chasing and ready to rule. If you are ready to stop begging and start commanding, I need you to make a declaration right now. Don't just think it. Distinct it. Distinct it. Go to the comment section and type these 4 words, I stand my ground. Type it as a signal to the universe that you are not moving. Type it to let the enemy know that the door is locked until they come correct. Type it to remind yourself that you are the prize. Before you dismiss, General, recognize this fact. You stood your ground until the very last second of this message. That proves your spirit is starving for this level of truth. Do not retreat now. Subscribing is your signature on the declaration of independence from your past. Click the button. Join the Destiny Squad. Your reinforcements have finally arrived. Claim it now. Your season of authority has begun.